Hello, my friends. How are you this wonderful day? Thank you. Thank you for joining me here in this little video series that I call Thank You Life. So, my name is Aaron Cezurek. I'm a 200-hour yoga teacher. I teach at the Niles Gerard Area Yoga Room. It's a public class open Mondays, noon to 1. And then I also teach chair yoga at a nursing home near my house. And I teach at a rehab facility. So thank you once again for joining me here on Thank You Life. This episode is Thank You Life for Practice. So last week we had patience, the week before we had compassion, we had honesty, and we had gratitude. So I do believe that I am being led to these different qualities from the previous qualities. So practice is something that I would define in my life as an activity that I participate in a regular basis on more or less a voluntary manner. So for instance, maybe you could even describe spending some time with your cat. That is a practice. Spending time and appreciating, loving your cat, that is a practice. You could say that getting up at a certain time in the morning, having certain rituals that you go through, certain order for breakfast, a certain type of breakfast that you eat, that is a practice as well. The types of food, whether they are healthy or, whether they are just pleasing to consume, maybe they are very sweet and sugary, but enjoyable. That is a practice too if you participate in it in a regular manner, and a habit forms around it. I think practices are very habit forming. You might even say that the way we form habits is by practice. So whether it's a good habit or a bad habit, it takes some time. It takes some time to develop that practice. So if we bring in the other qualities of patience and compassion and honesty and gratitude, we can begin to emerge with healthy practices in our lives that will help us to continue to live in a healthy and happy manner. So, patience is important in practice development because when we start a practice, especially, it can be rather difficult when you were starting to write the English language or whatever language it is that you do use in your daily life. It took you some time to develop the skills to do it proficiently. And it might have been difficult at first trying to memorize the different symbols and the meanings associated with those symbols, what those words mean to you, how you could bring them into your life on a regular basis. How are you to remember those words and the meanings behind them? So, this is something that does take practice, and compassion and honesty are very important too. We must be honest with ourselves when we're meeting the desired goal, the outcome. So, for example, in learning a language, that might be to be able to write your name maybe at first. And then from there, the goals increase and increase to maybe writing a sentence and a paragraph and a page, and maybe being able to more accurately describe different different situations through words, different meanings, try to convey different information that needs a certain amount of refinement. So Honesty is important to know when you are and are not meeting that goal that you have set for yourself is important. But then comes compassion. Compassion's important too, to remind yourself that it does take time to develop. Patience is necessary. Kindness to yourself is necessary as you do develop that new skill, whatever it would be, whether it be better eating habits. It takes time to loosen not just your kind of physical craving for certain foods that aren't the healthiest for you, but also your mental cravings. A lot of foods bring us comfort. So it can take some time to develop another habit to replace a bad habit. And it takes compassion to do this, just in developing a language, being kind to yourself, letting yourself make, I will say, quote unquote, mistakes, because what is a mistake? I mean, a mistake is something that doesn't necessarily feel, to me at least, like it has a, a positive association with it. But when I do think about mistakes, they are good because it means we are learning. So I don't think mistakes are so negative. So in some ways, it's about forming, in this case, a better habit, a better meaning um, around the word mistake. So that is a practice in itself as well. And it just takes time to gradually associate that word and the feelings that surround it, the meanings that are within my understanding of what that word means, from negative to more positive. So it's not necessarily the word that is negative or positive in this case, it is just my understanding and associations with it, my experience with it. And practices are much the same. There is no necessarily good and bad practice. It is the way we use those practice. So it is always good. So once we have all those other qualities with developing a good practice, it's good to always be grateful that we even have the ability to discern what is a good practice for us, what is not, what is a practice that no longer might serve us in our life situation. It had might have been appropriate for us at one point, but now we need to move to a different practice. It is always good to share a sense of feeling of appreciation and gratitude for the practices that are available for us in our life, to show appreciation for those practices. Practices are like possibilities before us. They're like new ways, new lifestyles, new frontiers, new worlds to embark upon. So, wouldn't you be grateful for all these different opportunities, all these different possibilities? And gratitude really does reveal the door to us, reveal the pathway to us. So, if we do have gratitude within our lives, then it is, in my experience, a definite that we see possibilities for new and unexplored practices that could welcome health and happiness at a at a deeper level for us into our lives. So gratitude is so important in so many aspects of our lives, awakening our awareness to different possibilities, our ability to feel the positive sides of all things, all beings, all experiences, I believe remains in our ability to bring ourselves to a state of gratitude. So I wish just to briefly talk about a practice in my life which I have struggled a bit with. Um, Entertainment, in particular, entertainment of the interactive kind, video games. Video games have been a way for me in my life to sustain a certain level of comfort and happiness, of ease, of ability to navigate my way through life's terrain. They provided me with a safe space that I could be myself, that I could feel free, that I could play, and that I could enjoy. For whatever reason, I could not find that in the world outside of video games for a very, very long time. Recently, as I went through some experiences in life, I realized that there was a certain finite quality to the refuge it felt like video games could offer me. I can't speak for everybody's experience, but when it came to playing video games, eventually I would arrive at a place of boredom and frustration, of not being content with my state at the time, negative. Just all these negative feelings would still arise, even though I was doing something that was seemingly enjoyable and a privilege kind of for me to do, that I would have enough time and the resources to do such a thing. So, in order to understand this, I began to explore different possibilities. Just because I needed something in my life to give me relief from this negative experience. And video games, unfortunately for me, were not offering me this. So I came to different practices. Maybe the first one that I really embraced was through the church, through sharing spiritual teachings in the Roman Catholic Church, joining different groups and talking about Scripture, how it applied to my life. That was very, very helpful to me, but there still seemed a disconnect. So I'll move from the video game practice, from that practice, and then eventually I came to the yogic practice. Now, the yogic practice, I think, it addressed something very important that the other practices were not addressing. That was my spiritual and physical and mental nature, whereas the video games might have only been addressing my mental needs in some portion, and then the church maybe my spiritual and mental needs. But then yoga also addressed my place in the world as a physical being. And unless all three of these sides are kind of in balance to me, I didn't feel like I quite had a well off practice. I wasn't feeling positive on a regular basis. I would have moments where I was very happy and very content, but then I would come back down from that positiveness into a dark place that I did not feel could be healthy. So I knew I needed to learn a better practice in my life, that I needed to keep searching and find something that really complemented what I was feeling in lack of, that kind of balanced me out. And that was yoga. And so I am still practicing to this day and doing my best to continue to contribute um, to that practice. I think that's one way we remain in gratitude, and we also remain in those other qualities: honesty, compassion, patience, and practice now. So, my gratitude practice offering for you this week is just to take notice. Take notice of practices in your lives. What do serve you and what do not serve you? And what you need from a practice in your life. What are your goals? So take time to notice those practices and to make adjustments when they no longer serve you, trying to integrate new practices into your lifestyle, gradually replacing those old practices that no longer serve you. So, with that, I will say, God bless you, my friends. I invite you to say a word that means my inner light honors your inner light. It's a beautiful way to encourage practice. Practice in each other, practice in everyone for a positive, life fulfilling, meaningful existence. That word is namaste. I invite you to say this now. Namaste. Thank you so much for being with me here today, for being with me here on Thank You Life. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I invite you to come back again and again to continue on with this journey of sharing gratitude for the very state of being, the very state of existing. It is such a privilege and a gift. It allows us to come closer and closer to love in our lives on a more daily basis, a more regular basis, so that we might feel fulfilled, happy, and content, satisfied with what is. Very good. Thank you once again, my friend. Bless you. Have a wonderful day. God bless you, and namaste.